right, we're live from STS Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And as you listen to the song coming in, our new theme song we debuted about 6 weeks back. Sleezy-e, also known as Elijah Dobbs, Shootin The Shiznit theme song, a collaboration between me and him. Welcome you. Come on from the green room and come on in. How's it going, Sleezy-e?
Oh, my man, BT. It's the SLEEZ to the Y to the E. Sleezy-e, man, long time coming on Shootin The Shiznit, our brainchild. The theme song that I almost felt like Heath Ledger, my man, because I was going so crazy making it, going these crazy directions, but I think the product came out very nice.
Yeah, I know those lyrics. You know, we laughed about that when we got it because it was just so simple. And then Richard, you was on the P3 radio. We did something. We collaborated a song that was really silly. It was a Red Army song, and it's the same way too. Just 3 or 4 lines, and there you go. But you do wrestling music, and you do music in general. But I want to start. We're going to play some music. I want to play the whole songs for the people, and then we'll tell them how to get listen to new stuff as it. And you're going to debut an actual brand new song after the break, which I'm excited about. But I want to talk about you because me and you, without me knowing this, as we come on the air, we start talking. But me and you are from the same stomping grounds.
Oh man, Jackson County, running through the blood. I know you're over there in Craighead County, but that's right down the road, man. And I've actually known about you for quite a while, and I met you one time at a WWE live event in Jonesboro. I was with Idle Bane and a couple of guys up there, and he said that there was BT, and he was like, "That's the guy that does wrestling right online and all that good stuff." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I know about that." So, man, I'm. We go way back without even knowing it, pal.
Yeah, you reached
That's
out
how
to...
Arkansas is, man. It's just...
Yeah. You're right about that. They, and it's almost like if you know one person, you know them all. I've got people on my page from the Arkansas Wrestling that I don't even know who the fuck they are. So there you go. But you reached out to me. Here's the bad thing. On SoundCloud, you was listening to the podcast. You was like, man, I want to bring my music on. This was... probably over a year ago, and I didn't even see the stuff. I didn't even see it. Then Richard and them reached out to you. Actually, I'll put that link in there, too, in the notes of this episode so they can listen to the episode you was on there with them. But you reached out to them. You were talking. I was like, man, I think I know who that guy is. And then we got together and everything. But I want to start back. How'd you become a wrestling fan, or why'd you become a wrestling fan? Or tell me the first memories of being a wrestling fan.
Man, the same old fiddle song every wrestling fan plays, or wrestling fan, wrestler, person in the wrestling business. Most of the time, if you're one of the lifers, it's the old classic story. Well, I watched it whenever I was 4 or 5, and I was hooked. So obviously that was about the age I found it. 4 or 5, and then I didn't like sports. I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't a athletically gifted kid, but I always liked wrestling, and that was my one outlet. And shit really changed when. Can I say shit on here?
Oh, you can say anything you want to. It's not for the kiddos.
Oh man, late night. Okay. I don't know if you got some crazy advertisers paying you big bucks and people can't say shit and damn. But anyway,
yeah. Hey, our advertisers are Blue Chew, Spunk Lube, and also Manscaped. So you can pretty much talk about it. You can talk about any hole you want to talk about in what you did with the Spunk Lube the night before. I mean, I'm up for it, but we'll have to do that on the post show since we're talking about wrestling.
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. There you go.
Look it up. Pay for some stuff. Anyways, but and then shit really changed whenever I went to my first, I guess, independent show or whatever. They had a WFAC in Newport, and I went there for the first time, and I realized, damn, that there's folks that aren't on TV that does this and blah 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 blah. And I said, oh yeah, well it's for sure going down now. And then basically from then on out, I just constantly went to every show every Friday, and I couldn't train because I was literally just a child. And so I got into doing stunt videos, jackass style stuff, because for some weird reason, I had to do something painful with my body, and I wanted to do it through wrestling, but in a weird way, nobody would train me before I was 18, and believe it or not, there's so many people that got into business young, I couldn't find anybody that would train me before I was 18. So then I started getting off with my buddies, jumping off of shit, using barbed wire and light tubes and all that stuff, jackass out, basically jackass and all that good stuff, and we did that until I was able to start reffing and training around 18, and then it's a long road from there, pal. But that's the
Newport. Now tell me somebody that was on that show that you can remember.
Man, Idlebane, Deadly Dale, Ray Ray, Kid Crazy, Cujo, Excalibur,
Oh,
Morgan
wow.
Williams,
Yeah, those
Man.
are all, Arkansas names. If you're listening in your Arkansas area, if you don't know those names, you haven't been to independent wrestling. Idlebane, I've got Idlebane coming on sometime in January or February.
Well, there you go. That's going to be the highest rated one you ever had, pal. Idlebane. It's the man.
We had this deal where when I started doing the website, I think he put his name together. It was Idlebane as one name, but then I started putting it in results as two names, and I changed his name for him for a while, and then I think he went back. I don't know. But I was a good guy. We're going to have him and his tag team partner on doing a Cool Kids Countdown. Talk to me about training. Now, who trained you? Because I may know these people too.
Oh, well, the thing is, Idlebane is one of my trainers. Basically, all of LSD. All of LSD.
All right.
I technically got into the business through Deadly Dale. I would come to the show after I started doing stunts with my camera, and somehow, I have no idea, still to this day, but we got linked up, and he was like, hey, man, can I get some of that footage you're shooting? And then I basically put him a little highlight video together. One of the first videos I ever edited on a computer. I done some weird shit back in the day with a DVD player and a VHS player and dubbing shit like that with yellow chords and red chords. But then that was the first thing I did. After that, I knew Dale and Idol and Cody and old Uncle Filthy, my man. He's from Newport, and Uncle Filthy and LSD. And then so I stayed in touch with them and done my stunts and all that shit, and then I guess I was about 18 or 19 or so, and finally was like, man, one of you guys going to train me or not? And then Idlebane just put me in the ring in Tuckerman and let me bump and hit the ropes by myself for 3 or 4 hours, and that was just that was training for a long time. And so then I started reffing, and I always liked reffing. I've always never really cared what job I did in wrestling, but so through training, I started refereeing to pay my dues and do all that good shit. And number one, I fell in love with reffing. It's one of my favorite jobs to do. But then, the thing is, reffing took priority over wrestling because, number one, it's hard to keep a good, steady referee around.
It is.
So
That's the one thing. I know.
More
I know how that
needed
is.
in that area, So I did that for a long time, and I also started announcing. So that's kind of where I started talking the shit and stuff, and the Sleezy-e character was born, was basically through announcing. So I done both of those on and off, man, and then 10 years later, I finally had my first match, so that was cool, and it was just a long road of basically doing whatever I could at the show.
Was this in Tuckerman and ASWF?
Yeah, I started in ASWF, and then Craig Stone started MACW down in Jonesboro.
Right,
and
right.
There was a great couple of years where one weekend I would announce down at ASWF, and I was a heel announcer to color, and I was basically just got to do whatever I wanted and got comfortable talking and this and that. And then the next Saturday I would referee in Jonesboro and just try because it's the same crowd, and try to act like I didn't talk this mad shit to these people the weekend before and referee. And that's where I really learned how to hone my referee skills there in Jonesboro, and I bounced back and forth between there for a few years, and then so basically, yeah, that's where I cut my teeth.
Right on. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to play Mr. Promoter Man. We're going to play the whole song, and then we'll be right back, and we'll talk about the song. So here we go.
I've been training in this business since I was 13. I've worked the door, done security, and loved to referee. I even kicked on training when they told me I was no good. Said I'd never be no wrestler, but I always knew I would. And I never played much ball growing up beside at home, watching Raw and Nitro while my family all got stoned. Dear Mr. Promoter Man, won't you book me for a show? I don't need a big PO, just a place to work, place to do my thing, to get up in there and hear a crowd scream. I'll do anything. I need to bump and roll around, and to work that crowd will make them get loud. Yeah, I need them buzz. I ain't got six-pack abs and I ain't flipping, but I got some decent arms, and I know how to get heat. I ain't no mark for going over or about. I'll just show up to your show early and ask, how can I help? Dear Mr. Promoter Man, won't you book me for a show? I don't need a big PO, just a place to work, place to do my thing, and to get up in the rain, hear a crowd scream. I'll do anything. Yeah, I need to up and roll around, and to work that crowd will make them get loud. Yeah, I need that buzz.
All right. Tell me now. These are wrestling songs, and I know you're a wrestling fan, and you know, I mean, I run around the house doing stupid shit all the time when it comes to I'm going to sing a wrestling song and all that stuff. But there it has been a lot of these that have been done. Not, you know, you've done a few, but I'm saying in general, in the history, you have people doing whole albums about wrestling. I know you've been a fan, but why just concentrate? Mr. Promoter Man is really catchy. It will, if you just listen to that song and you listen to all the song, you will go around the whole week with it. It's an earworm, is what it is. So that's real catchy, so that's a good thing. But why wrestling? Why? Just because you were such a big fan, or is that what you thought you was going to do with your music?
Oh man, well, it's kind of complicated, just like with everything else in life. So everything's a little complicated, but it was never intentional. It was never an intentional thing. I made music before the wrestling music, like rap music and shit. I got some comedy rap music, like a song called "I Love Pizza" and stuff like that. So I did the music, and I always liked music, and I was always more of a rapper. I'm not going to say that I'm like a good rapper at all, but I spent a lot of time with my buddies freestyling and making up dumb songs and shit like that. But then one night, me and my good buddy Brad Skimmelhorn, Brad Mercury, one half of Lethal Injection, we came up with just this weird little thing: smoking weed, drinking beer, wrestling on the TV. And then we just came up with that, and then with the NWA part, and like that's it. Like we came up with that, and we thought it was funny as hell, and just joked around about it. And then, shit, man, about 3 years later, I was like trying to get some kind of creative stuff going on, and I thought about that, and I was like, man, I need to finish that song. So I did the wrestling on the TV, and it's just it's funny because wrestling's such a funny thing to be able to make music about, because I like country music a lot. And with old outlaw country, I've always pictured wrestlers being outlaws. So to hear these kind of sappy songs about the desperate love of wrestling that drives everybody into the ground is a thing that I would get off on. And I think with creative stuff, as long as you would laugh about it, or if you would listen to it or see it or watch it or read it or whatever, if you would like it and it's something that you're making, you're doing the job, and that's basically the beginning of the wrestling music. And it's funny,
you just said something there. That exactly why we do what we do. Really, with podcasting, with you do anything creative, it's you do something that you enjoy doing, and you put your heart and soul in it. And if it comes out and everybody else likes it, that's cool. That's real cool. But if they don't, that's cool too. We just put out an episode,
Exactly.
and you get, we have episodes that don't do as well as others, and I've done episodes where I go, I don't like this episode, but you'll watch the downloads and you'll go, damn, there's a lot of people listening to that, so there's a lot of people that liked it. All right, man, let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back from the commercial, when we come right into the commercial, we'll be playing Wrestling on TV.
Yeah,
the
man.
full complete song.
I'm glad we're having the break because I got to piss like a 3-dick dog, man. I'm about to let it loose, and I'm glad to come back to that jam.
Smoking weed, drinking beer, wrestling on the TV. Staying up late just to watch dub, yeah. It's a work, it's a shoot, you don't know what to do. All you know that's wrestling's in your veins. We learn to bump, hit the ropes, stay behind the building, puffing on some dough. With the boys dreaming about being in Maine. Work a match, do the job, now your whole body's got a constant throb. But you pay your dues and you better stay in your lane. Promoter man said he'll give you a push on one condition: you feel on his tush. What can I say? If you wanna win, play the game. I'll be smoking weed, drinking beer, wrestling on TV. Staying up late just to watch NWA. Now you're not a vet, you're not as green, you're lost somewhere in between, but you're making towns and some people know your name. When a rat pats you on your back on the way to the ring, the beat's not all that bad. So you work a night, have a match on local TV, boy, you're moving fast, but you pay your dues and you better stay in your lane. Now you're calling everybody brother, saying, hey brother, give me another. But this time, go ahead and lay it in. I'll be smoking weed, drinking beer, wrestling on TV. Staying up late just to watch NWA. Now you've been in for 25 years, you can't work no more, it brings you to tears. The road was nice, but it sure came with a price. But you go to shows, try and help out, but some dumbass greenhorns keep running their mouth, calling all their spots, saying now they don't want to blade. When you tell them Stay in your lane, in your lane. And your mind goes back to hitting the mat, banging rats, puffing on a fat doobie brother. Yeah, those sure were the days. When a wrestler dies, he never stops working in the back of the show. You know his soul is lurking. Here's a 10-bell salute to my brothers that are gone away. Now through all the fun and all the pain, only one thing remains the same. I'll be smoking weed, drinking beer, wrestling on the TV, staying up late just watching WWE.
All right, coming out of that song there, that song was that was Wrestling on TV song. Over right at 5 minutes. I know it's a little long, but I want to play the whole song.
It's a long song because it's an old story song, you know, like back in the day, a lot of old 70s, 60s, 70s, even old songs, you know, they tell a story, and that's the thing about that one. It's a chunk. It's kind of like Legends of the Fall.
Right. You talked about country music and the Outlaws and every time someone says that, all I think about is Waylon Jennings and that kind of guys that
Exactly.
that Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, and everybody that grew up in that area. I grew up listening to those guys because my dad was a huge fan. And so I want to tell you a real quick story. I've never told this, and since you mentioned country music, I can talk about it. So my dad was a weekend. I've told this before, but he's a weekend drunk. So he only drank on the weekends. He didn't drink. He worked 5 days a week. Never missed a day.
Respectable man.
Never missed a day of work on Friday afternoon until Sunday morning about 2 a.m. He would come in, come in, sleep, get drunk again, kind of thing. And he was so drunk one night, and he told my mom and me that he was going to Luckenbach, Texas. He wanted to get all his stuff together, and he's just sitting there drunk. And we was like, well, who are you going with? He said he was going with Waylon, Willie, and the boys.
There's
so if you know that
you
song,
want to go with, yeah. Class. That's funny as hell. That sounds like something I'd say to my wife, man. Well, that's a man I can really relate to.
I love that music. Actually, I saw a video with Stone Cold. I guess it was last week one time. He had an amp. It was so weird how he set it up. He set up an amp to his computer and was playing Waylon on YouTube, and it was coming through the amp. It sounded so good, and I was just like, well, that's modern technology with old technology with a very old song. So there you go. All right, we're not going to talk about country music anymore. Let's talk about wrestling.
Oh, I can, buddy. I can. I tell you what.
So tell me some of the guys, who's some of the stars that you worked with as a referee, and then I'm going to ask you something else too. So think about this question as we're going. Who was the biggest ass you ever worked with?
Like an asshole?
Yeah, complete asshole.
Oh, well, I can probably think about that one. I'll say the stars part.
Okay.
Just because I'm a good guy, I would say my good friends in the wrestling business. So that those are the ones that I truly look up to and enjoy working with. But I like Idle Bane, Deadly Dale, Uncle Filthy, the Mercury Boys. You know, just reffing with the people that was trained with and learned from is always the best. But I worked with old Bill Dundee one time and took a punch from him, and that was a pretty big moment for me, not gonna lie. Dirty Little Dave hooked me up. Dirty Little Dave was a nice man and set up that little spot. And then I believe the biggest thing referee wise, I ref the Southern Sickness tournament, the deathmatch tournament there in Memphis through Pro Wrestling Train Wreck. And
Oh wow,
dude,
yeah.
that was an all-star hookup there, man. I mean, Matt Tremont and Marcus Crane, and dude, it was ridiculous, all the people that was there. And like I said, I always loved the stunts and the hardcore and all that crazy shit. So like that's always been my cup of tea, is the death match. I like all types of wrestling. I grew up on Memphis type stuff, but then the hardcore stuff really took over. And to referee that tournament, I never even been to one. Like, how it is around here. We don't got death match tournaments. We'll see some hardcore matches and this and that, and it's cool and all. But if you're going to do a death match thing, it's up north, or it's on the East Coast or West Coast or some shit like that. But then they had it there in Memphis, and I already refed a few times for Trainwreck, and they had the tournament. And I said, well, good God, this is a dream come true. And the craziest thing, that it was a week before me and my wife got married. So it was the weekend before we got married. I refereed a deathmatch tournament, and I was like, good God, man, like this is I'm walking like, oh, I want to do some crazy stuff, and like this is all crazy and good, but I had to she said, man, if you come home with any scratches on your face, I promise you're gonna pay for it. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I am. But it was good, and I came out unscathed. I even took a bump, so it was all good, and it was cool. And that was the biggest thing with reffing, and the biggest ass, man. Shit, I would truthfully. I mean, Bill Dundee didn't say a word to me before I reffed his match. Like, I mean, I had a good time. Me and Dirty Little Dave went over everything, and it was cool. But like all those old timers, they're all kind of like that. But I'm always glad to do anything that I can. Period. But the biggest ass is the fans whenever you're a ref, because the truth is, man, as a referee, you're going to get bagged on 90% of the time for trying your hardest, and the fans are the biggest assholes in the world. But that's kind of what you want, anyways. There you go. I can talk. You want to talk about country music? You want to talk about that? I can talk about refereeing all night, pal.
Right. Now, so let's. You made me think of a question here, and then we're going to debut the new song here. But refereeing now. When I was not, let me say, quote unquote, training people to be a ref, when I ran my own little promotion, and I would tell them to go in during the matches, I would give them the finish. And say, look, here's the finish, boom, boom, boom. But I also told my refs, and this is old school, and a lot of times it would fuck up stuff, but if their shoulders were down and they weren't paying attention to what they were doing, then, in other words, if they fucked up, I want you to count their shoulders. I want you to treat the match like a shoot.
Brian, so that's it. That's what you do. Like, and that was one of the first lessons that I learned that really changed everything for me. And Ray taught me that, because after one match, somebody fucked up, or there was a pin or something that was fucked up, and because I always kind of had a hard time just stopping the count or making the count look a certain way. But he told me one night, he said, listen, man, if I don't kick out, you count me out. Like that. That's what you're supposed to do. If you don't do that, the count looks like shit, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket. And that's it. I'm so glad you brought that up, man. You count like it's a shoot, and that's the way it's supposed to go. They work around the rules, and you enforce the rules, and that's what makes it become professional wrestling, is the rules and the boundaries which with the referee.
In the fantasy of it. Yeah, in the storyline, you do try to get the legit rule.
Yeah.
I did
the same. Go along, too, I think.
Right. I agree. I did the same thing with managers. Like, if I was going to teach somebody something to do outside the ring, I always told the guys that were managers, your guy, I want you outside the ring pretending, or in your mind, you want him to win. So when he is getting beat up, you're responding. When he is winning, you're jumping up and down. So you wouldn't just be standing there with your thumb up your ass. You would be doing something if you really depended upon it.
Hang out.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's debut a song right here on Shootin The Shiznit. It's called Pro Wrestler. And when we come back, we'll talk about the song.
wrestling for 20 long years. I've spent all my pills on gas, beer, and gear. And I go to some shows and I work my match. If wrestling don't kill me, God, I don't know what will. I go to a town where I don't know a soul. My match is down there. I remember not getting back home. God bless them wrestling fans. Without them, have no place to work. And no reason to take all of this hurt. Let me bump flat, let me bump flat, tuck my chin. Let me not bleed all too much. But if I do, I'll lay every last drop there in that rain. And the whole world is a ring, and life is but a work when the ring is empty. God, I don't know what could be worse.
Oh man, thanks. I appreciate you debuting that. So give us some insight about this song, because you waited for a while to release it, because we were talking back and forth about you coming on the show.
Yeah, man, I've had this one in my pocket for a little while, and I kind of wrote it because most of these songs, it's kind of like the movie Walk Hard with Dewey Cox and shit, and he has those spurts, like he'll walk hard and he gets his like ideas just out of nowhere, and then he's like, yeah, that's the gimmick, you know. So I'll just hear like a little bit of it, and I'm like, yeah, I have to do it, you know. And one funny thing is, one of the boys from P3, we were on there, and they did the Dear Mr. Promoter Man, and at the beginning, I really like to consider it like comedy wrestling songs. I mean, there's funny aspects to all of them, but when I'm said, you know, like you said, it's comedy, but like it's also kind of serious, you know, like it's a. And then I thought it was cool that he respected the funny part, but he was like, oh, it's kind of serious because it's just like a little bit of heart and soul in it. And so this song was like if you ever heard of Uncle Tupelo, and I think fucking Bob Dylan had some kind of half-ass version of it back in the day, but Uncle Tupelo has a song called Moonshiner, and it's just an old depressing song about a moonshiner living a rough life. And I'm like, man, that can be a fucking wrestling song right there, I'll tell you what. And so I started working on it, and around that time we finally linked up, and then I was like, well, we can just do it on the show, let it out on the show, and hopefully everybody liked it. And it's not so much comedy, it's about wrestling, and it's some shit that people in the business could probably relate to, but it's just a weird thing. But I'm glad you played it on the show, and I hope you liked it, and everybody listening at home liked it, and there we go, pal.
Awesome. What I need you to do is I want you to put all your shit over now. How is everyone going to be able to listen to these songs?
Gotta put the links over and shit like that.
Yep.
You know. So on SoundCloud, I got a SoundCloud, and then surely we'll have some links or something to that. But mainly on YouTube, go to Sleezy Wrestling, SLEEZYE Wrestling. Sleezy Wrestling. I got my matches on there. I got my songs on there, and basically any kind of the shit that I'll be doing is up on there. And go on there and check out my shit, keep up with it, and then maybe when the world calms down, I'll get back to actually doing some stuff in the ring, and that's the goal. I went a couple of times with my wife recently and sat in the crowd, and it was quite nice. Just watch the show and this and that, but with everything going on in the world right now, I'm just focusing on that, and this was the goal. This was the goal with I put out a mixtape of songs and shit like that, and had wrestling on the TV. And what my main goal was like, well, you know what? If I put this out and it'll be cool, and somehow maybe I could put some of them on Shootin The Shiznit. That's sufficient enough for the work right there, because you know you got a great crowd, great fan base, and for people to hear the songs. It all culminated exactly the way I wanted it, and I appreciate you letting me do it.
Man, I hope we can meet up, because I had plans this year too.
Absolutely.
I was doing a tour of all these little towns, and I was going to do live podcasting. That was my idea. I had tried to do I was going to do at least 4 shows to 6 in 2020, and that all fucked up. So there you go. It fucked up, but yeah, we'll meet down the line. Have a live podcast. I'll actually get you. We have maybe met each other again, as much as you talk about the people that you hung around with and the shows you've been at. I bet I've been at a show with you and didn't even know it. So that's a weird thing.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks,
synchronicity,
man.
Pal. Synchronicity. Look it up, everybody.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on. I do appreciate the song also. Guys, same bad time. Remember, same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And I don't know if Sleezy-e knows this, but he's going to know it now. I love my mama. That's right. I love my mama. 74 years old as of Friday the 13th of this month. So that was Friday. This is coming out on Wednesday. So happy birthday, mama. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.